and do my screen share. She'll see you for Zoom meetings will be on Tuesdays, 6 o'clock. Okay, so this week really you have an introduction on the discussion board. And then we're going to roll right into looking at our next assignment, which I'm going to kind of talk about these quickly and give you an overview. The very first assignment for this class, it's the only time you'll do it in this class. We do have a group, it's called a group interview report. And so after the meeting tonight, I'm going to ask you to go into the course shell. You'll go to the groups tab and you will self-enroll for one of the 3 groups. Okay, each group has a limit of 5 students in it, and then I'll show you a list of the interview questions that will guide you
Those have the special cards
on this assignment. So basically, your goal will be to go back to your district, seek out maybe a special ed director, special ed teacher that's been there for a while, experience, and send some of the interview questions to gather the information. That's going to be your first step. Then you're going to collaborate with your group and compile it. But the goal tonight will be to register for the group, find out your interview questions, select your person. We will come back to that next Tuesday. So we'll talk a little bit more about the interview report. After that, we will go in. Our second assignment for the semester will be the informal assessment report. And so what we'll do there is select 3 informal assessment instruments. Informal is exactly what the title means. It's something that is a way to gauge student learning that is very informal. It is a quick way to gather information that can be done in about 30 seconds to a minute and a half. Okay. So that's what an informal is. I'll give you examples as we work closer to that particular week. The next assignment that we will work on about midway through this course is a norm referenced assessment. Now, norm reference assessments, a majority of them require extra credentialing or extra certification in order to be able to administer those. So always plant a seed when I talk about this. One thing you may have to do is if you have a school psychologist or a school psychometrist in your district, that you might ask to partner with them so they can kind of allow you to observe them administering a norm reference assessment. Okay, if you have that ability. There are other options for this assignment that are available, perhaps if your district uses a specific assessment. So let me give you an example of common norm reference assessments that districts use. STAR reading and math. That is actually considered a norm reference assessment. Don't know how many of your districts utilize that. Very popular in different states amongst different districts. Another norm reference assessment that districts use for benchmarking purposes is the MAP testing. Okay, I don't know if your district does that, but if they do, that is a common assessment. So you could actually talk to one of your administrators to see if you could pull the data on your particular case study student to help formulate that report. If your district does not utilize any type of norm reference assessment and you have challenges partnering with an individual who is actually licensed or credentialed to give those, I have an alternative method to meet the requirements for that assignment. And I actually have a video posted in the course shell, and it's called Testing Lab Video. And basically that is a video of me administering the WJ4 assessment to a high school student as part of the reevaluation process. You can literally use that to meet that assignment requirement. You can review the video. It's about 20 to 25 minutes long. It is a snapshot of the assessment process. and then I will actually provide that assessment report for you to pull the data off of it from that testing session. So there are options there to help you. Just kind of wanted to throw that out there to give you some time to think about it. We'll talk more as we get closer to that. That's not until mid part of September. The next type of assessment we will work on toward the end of the class is called a curriculum-based measurement. It oftentimes accompanies a lot of the curriculum that you use. It is a tool or an assessment that we take. It could be in reading, math, spelling, writing, and we take a particular assessment and we administer it multiple times over a period of time to gauge student progress. And after we establish a baseline with it, we will go in and make our adjustments. Do we need to modify it? Do we need to drop the grade level of the content down? So it's a way to gauge ongoing performance of the student. And it becomes very practical. If you're doing this with students over a long period of time, you can check to make sure they're progressing in an upward, what we call an upward trend, to know that they are progressing in the right way and that the work is on appropriate grade level. The last thing that we will do for this class, considered your final, is through the course, through weeks 1 through 7, you are doing the assessments, collecting the data, putting reports together, and submitting those. So at the end, you'll have all the data from the assessments, and you're going to sit down and record a mock IEP, what we would say an IEP video. And so literally you are going to present the information as if you are presenting it to an IEP team, multidisciplinary team. You've already collected the information. You're just going to present it. And we ask you to record yourself doing that. As we get closer, I will go through the guidelines on it so you know really what we're looking for. Here, you've already done a lot of the work, really looking for the flow of the meeting, okay, and having confidence in presenting that information to the IEP team. So that's what we are looking for in class. So you're going to learn how to give 3 different assessments, take all the data you collect, and we'll put it together, make a mock IEP video at the end for final. And then the first thing we'll do collectively is a group interview report. Scroll down, and these guiding interview questions are in the syllabus. I'm going to point those out to you. Okay. So to give you an idea on the point breakdown quickly, you'll see the introduction in Blackboard. That's worth 20 points. Okay. Your weekly participation. Okay. We'll do that participation grade for each of the 8 weeks. Okay. Each week is worth 18.75 points. That's where we get 150 points. The interview report, which is the first assignment, really the first assignment we're going to work on, to where you'll be in your groups and you'll kind of work together to formulate this report. It's worth 100 points. Then after that, everything will be individualized. So you'll work individually to do an informal assessment report. Along with that, we'll have you submit a lesson plan with it. So you'll take the data, identify the student's weaknesses. Then I have a lesson plan template. You'll develop a lesson plan based on the informal assessment results. Okay. I will tell you the lesson plan template that I provide you is something that is very similar to what you see when you do the PPAT. Okay, so we use that template, and this mock IEP and the video embedded in this class is a way to help prepare you for that process. Norm reference, test administration report and lesson plan, it's worth 150. The CBM, or curriculum-based measure administration and lesson plan, it's worth 240. So we give it multiple times. We collect multiple data points. So obviously we weight that assignment more than the other 2. The mock IEP video, will be worth 195, 195 points. And then you're going to see it says peer assessment collaboration. That is a rubric that we have you complete that you will submit with your interview report. And so, Nanette, let's say you have 4 other partners in your group. It's a group of 5. You're going to take your peer assessment collaboration rubric. You're going to list your teammates on it, and you're going to rate them on a scale of 1 to 4. Okay. Strengths as far as how they contributed. Okay. And then you're going to list yourself and you're going to do a self rating on that. And you submit it. So that one document's 45 points right there that will go with your interview report. Okay. Literally, all you have to do is list your teammates, go in there and rate them. They don't see it. I'm the only one that sees it. Okay. So, and it's all based on how they contribute to that group project. Okay. As you can see, basically, course is valued at 1,000 points. And so A is a 930 or 93%. You see a B is 850 to 929. C is 760 to 849. I do back up, and I always like to point this out. And as I go over the information, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, this is a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. Okay. It is quite a bit. Okay. But it's very doable. You just have to take 1 week at a time. Okay. It's very doable to do this. One thing I do want to talk about, and I'm going to remind you when we get to this point, but I always like to bring it up front. So when we are actually about week number 5, in the middle of doing your norm reference, it's almost going to be like you're working on 2 separate assignments at the same time. Okay. So don't panic on me when we get to that point, and I will remind you about it as we get closer. So, number 5, I also bring up the CBM and encourage you to go ahead and start administering some of the CBM, what we call them probes. It's just another word for an assessment, because we are collecting 6 data points. And so it gives you a little bit of head start. You start back there in week 5 and you go to week 6, and then it's going to be due. So it helps you spread that out. So literally, if you do that and you take my recommendation on that, so you can kind of spread it out right through here, you're literally going to be finishing up the norm reference, but yet already have started on the CBM. Okay. So just wanted to kind of point that out to you and give you a little bit of a hit. I'm going to scroll down to the interview questions that will guide you after tonight when you select your person and you start asking them these questions. Okay. So on this, in the syllabus, at the bottom of page 7, and it rolls over to the top of page 8, is where we're going to find the interview questions to kind of guide your conversation with your person that you want to interview in your district. Okay. So you will see the first bulleted point is, why are certain tests used in our district? So you're going to ask them, what are the tests that are commonly used in our district to determine if a student qualifies? Why are those tests used? Every district has their preference on what type of assessment they like to use. When I go out and contract out to do the assessments for school districts, my preference is using the WJ4. That's a very common assessment. It's widely used. It covers a wide age range. It's practical for young students all the way up to assessing adults. And you think, why in the world do they assess adults? And you get into students with special needs and they transition into adulthood, they may be under the guidance of vocational rehabilitation services. And so they continue assessing them to determine their ability levels, strengths, and weaknesses. Okay. The next question is, how often or when are those assessments used? Okay, how often or when are they used? Informal assessments, they can be used every day, but when you get into more formalized, perhaps we can only administer them once a year. Okay, so a lot of it depends on what assessments are used in the district, and it will determine how often they're used. Who can administer those formal and informal tests? Does the person administering them need any special training? Well, I kind of already gave you a hint there. I told you on the norm reference, and most of them do require that. So if your district is large enough where they have an individual that is employed in the district and that's all they do, they're going to tell you, hey, I had to have additional certifications to be able to do this. Not just anybody can do it. Okay.
So like a psychologist.
Or ask if formal tests are used, and if so, when and why are they used? If they're not, just ask why. So do they use a lot of informal? Okay, informals are a great way for classroom teachers to gauge whether students are understanding the concepts that you are teaching. That can be done using exit tickets, short answer, 3 questions on the board, short answer, turn them in when you leave, and I'll review them at the end to see, hey, are they on the right track? The next question, various assessments used in special education and why? Okay, so your special education department in the district you work for, they may have a specific set of assessments that they use. Okay. Why are they using just those? What is the reasoning behind that? What process did they go through to determine these are the ones that best meet our needs? Ask your individual, what are the differences between formal and informal assessments? Okay, the next thing you'll ask them, the next bullet point is the steps in the assessment process. What are the steps? Okay, so Kimberly, a teacher can't just come to you as a special education teacher and say, hey, I noticed that little Johnny, he didn't do very well on his math test today. I think he needs to be tested for special education. We can't just do that. There is a process. Okay, there's a process to do it. We can't just come and say, hey, I think the student needs it, and then we pull them in and do it. We've got to have parent consent. I know in our district, we want those teachers to show at a minimum 6 to 9 weeks worth of intervention and data to support it before we even get to that point and look at it. Okay, so what are the steps? You ask your go-to person, what are the sections of IDA that addresses assessment? What are the sections of IDA that addresses assessment? The next question, what is the role of family in the assessment process? What would be the role of family in the assessment process? So we know they have to give consent. But after they give consent, and whether the student qualifies, we want the student to be part of the multidisciplinary team. Okay, they should be part of that. They should have input. We want to know, we want some feedback. We need them to be an active participant and an active partner in the education process of that child. Okay. The next thing is, what method of assessment for students? What are the methods of assessment for students who speak other languages? Don't know if your district is large or small. If you have students that speak other languages. So for those individuals that are administering, like myself, and I have a student that speaks is non-English speaking, there are steps I have to do as an evaluator in order to accommodate that student to make sure it is a valid assessment and that it's reliable on the results I'm getting. I can't just go in there and do it all in English. They're not going to understand. What are some technological considerations when administering tests? What are some uses of technology? And then the very last question, comment, you could seek from them, are there any evaluative comments or remarks that interviewee might want to share based upon his or her practical knowledge and experience with testing that may be relevant. So, depending on what group is formed that you're with, I always say it's really interesting when you guys start compiling your information and collaborating just to see within your group the vast array of experiences that are there. Okay, so any one group I might see where one interviewee had 5 years and the other had 30 years of experience. So we had a broad range of experiences within one group. It's a great way to learn from each other. It's a great way to see how other districts, what their process is for identifying and evaluating students to qualify for services. It gives you an idea of, hey, certain districts have so many more resources than what we've got. So it gives you a very good idea of what you have and don't have, what you do, what you could do. So this is a great time to steal ideas as well. I always said beg, borrow, and steal. There's always a way to improve. I always say you don't have to be bad to be better. And this is a good way to learn, just get feedback and think, hey, we could try this in our district, maybe improve how we go about serving our kids. So again, bottom of page 7 in the syllabus is where those interview questions start and roll over to the bottom of page 8. Okay. So the goal is once you self-enroll in a group after our class tonight, think about who do I want to get with in my district that I could go and sit down with that's got experience. It could be another special ed teacher, could be the special ed director. You work in a larger district, it could be the school psychologist, could be a speech pathologist. Is someone that works in the district that serves children in special services. Could be a physical therapist, could be an occupational therapist. Okay, so we like to see a variety of things on that. Any questions regarding the guiding interview questions that help that conversation? Is there any questions I could clarify there?
I don't think so. I'm losing video somehow. Can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I've got almost a black screen, so I may have to rejoin.
Okay, yeah, no, you're coming in just fine. So,
Okay, well, I can't see diddly.
right. Again, first step is after tonight, sign up in an interview group, and I'm gonna kind of show you in the course shell.
Okay,
Each group is limited to 5 members, so there's 15 enrolled in the class. So each group should have 5 members for the 3 groups. And then after tonight, kind of focus on doing your interviews. Now, when you start collaborating, I always tell the class the easiest way to do it, I always say, is get with your group, do maybe a Zoom meeting with them and talk about the information you got. We're going to start putting the information together into one report. So after you each do your interviews, you'll start collaborating and you're going to combine all the information into one report. And so your group will actually submit one document for your entire group. Okay? For that assignment. Also for that assignment, each of the group members, so Nanette, if you and Kimberly and Samantha are in a group, after you combine, you submit your one paper, each of you are going to download and complete the peer assessment rubric. And you're going to list your group members. So Nanette, you would list Kimberly and Samantha, and you're also going to list yourself, and then you're going to rate them based on how they contributed to the group. And then you'll submit that individually. Okay, so that's the group assignment and project coming up. I'm going to stop my screen share on the syllabus and go over to the course shell. So I can
You're kind of going in and out for me.
Yeah, I'm having trouble. I'm going to shut down and try and come back.
Okay.
It's kind of getting icky with me too, just here and there.
Bear with me just a second. One thing too, quickly while I'm switching over is I just popped the chat box up. So while I'm switching over to my other screen, if you want to go ahead and put your name in there, so that way it's on the recording and I can make sure you get your participation points. All you gotta do is just pop it up and it will record it in a transcript. So we'll make sure everybody gets their points.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I had a kid walking out the door.
Yeah, so I just popped up the chat box, and while the
Okay.
recording's going, if you want to put your name in there, it will record it and it'll be on the transcript. And so after we get done tonight, I will go in and make sure you get your participation points.
Can I ask a quick question on Zooms?
Yeah.
And I'm just being realistic. Single mom of 2 kids at home, 2 in college.
Mhm.
If we miss a Zoom meeting, how do we just not get the points for that evening,
No.
or we
You
watch the
do.
recording?
Yeah. So if you miss, and like I said, I know you guys have things going on. You're working, you're a graduate student, all that. You may have a school event. I get it. And so I always will record this. And so if you can attend live, if you do attend live, all you have to do is put your name in the chat box, you get your points. You're good.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything else. If you can't make it live on Zoom, record it. I'll post it. You'll go to week 1 participation. There will be 3 questions for you. You just put in your response, hit submit, and when I see you done that, I'll go for the points.
Okay, and I was a little bit late because I couldn't get in tonight. Do you want me to do that? Do you want me to do the questions?
No, go ahead and put your name on here.
Okay, I promise I was trying to get in. I was panicking
You're
because it
good.
was asking me for a member ID or something like that. And as soon as I emailed you, you can like disregard it. As soon as I emailed you, it let me in. So it's par for the course.
You're good. So just put your name on there. You're good.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Hey, my go.
I'm still having trouble.
Can you see my screen? Is it popped up for you yet?
No,
Yes.
I hear a yes and a no, Jody. I see you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. I can see you loud, clear. You just, the sound sometimes gets a little fuzzy, but I've heard most of it.
So basically, I'm in the course shell. Okay. The place you will go to sign up for your group after class, it will be right here. You see where it's at. I've got my mouse hovering over it. Anybody see that? Right here along the top. That's where you will sign up for your group.
Okay.
It's like you can pick what group. Once a group reaches 5, it won't let you sign up for that group. You'll have to go down to the next one. Okay. So that's where you do it there. Our syllabus is here. Most of you guys probably have looked at the shell, but I'm just going to go over it quickly. Your learning modules. Here, module 1 for 2 weeks. All of week 1's information will be right here. You'll see 2 folders: introduction to assessment. It'll have some articles to read. It'll be, the next one will be, I clicked on, yep, here we go. Then there'll be some assessment laws, ethics, and issues. It'll be some information there. So there may be some PowerPoints in there. After tonight, moving forward, I will pop those PowerPoints up and go over those with you. So tonight's just kind of an overview. Okay, but after that, for each week moving forward, I will actually pop up PowerPoints and review the information with you. Moving down, get down to other folders. You'll see here each week, or when you submit information as far as assignments, you'll click on the submit assignments here folder. That's where you'll do that. 805 resources. This is an important folder. I want to make sure everyone knew where this was at. I'm gonna click it and it's gonna open up. Here. Here is where you will find any type of template that you will need for this class. So I mentioned a while ago, Kimberly, I mentioned after you do your interview paper, you're going to do the peer assessment rubric. This is where you find the document right here. You'll click on that, it'll pop up. You can complete it, save as the file, or you can print it off, scan it, and send it in either way. Okay. When we get into the individual assignments where you're actually administering the test, each time you do that, if it's the same student, you just have to have them sign a permission form once. You'll list all 3 assessments you're going to do. Okay. Each time we do it, we have to have the parent sign the permission form. If it's the same student, they only have to do it once. Lesson plan template to go along with your assessment report. Here's the template that I mentioned. Literally, you can pop it up. It's in a Word format. You can type in your information and then save that file and title it, and then you'll just upload it. When we get into doing the informal assessment report, the norm reference, and the CBM, I have put samples of each one of those in these folders as an example to guide you. Okay, so there's always going to be an example for each one of them we're doing to help guide you through it. Literally, I've saved different assessment reports that were done from previous classes. I blacked the person's name out, but I uploaded it if I felt like it had a good format and they did a good job. I did that and used them as examples. So once we go over those and you're starting like on the informal assessment report and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to put this together? I will actually that week pop up one and show you, but you always have access to go to it if you have questions. This tab here you'll see is labeled as 805 testing lab recording. If you remember earlier, I talked about the alternate form to complete the norm reference assessment. If you have trouble accessing an individual that is licensed to give those norm reference to work with you, and you're really having difficulty trying to meet the requirements assignment, here is the recording of me administering the WJ4. So you literally have the recording to the video. You can watch it, and then I will email you the comprehensive report that I did, and you literally can pull your data and information from that document to complete your assignment. Okay, so that is a backup there for you. Any questions on the tabs in the course shell that I kind of went over for you to show you where the resources are? This is a good folder. Remember, the 805 resources folder is kind of your go-to for different templates or forms or sample reports for you to look at to help guide you on the assignments. Okay. I'm on click off of my screen share and go back to a normal screen quickly. Okay. So I know that was a lot of information, just kind of the overview. And again, you're probably thinking, oh my Lord, what did I get into? That's a lot of information, a lot of things we got to do in a short amount of time. Very doable. We did condense this down, pulled some information out of it when we condensed it down to an 8-week course. Okay. Again, I want to emphasize, make sure you have access to a student that you can use for your case study. If you can use the same one, that's great. If you have to use more than one to meet the requirements, that's fine. Okay. One thing I want to remind everyone on the weekly participation points, please either attend the Zoom, you automatically get your points, or if you miss, make sure you pull up the video, review it, answer your questions. If you simply choose to not do either of those two, you just like, I'm not messing with it, I want to do it, and you max out your points on all those assignments, there's no way you can make an A or a B. I'm gonna rephrase that to make sure you guys understand that, okay? The way the point system's set up. If you flat out refuse to either participate in a Zoom session live, or you choose not to do the questions, but you max out on all the other points for those assignments, the highest you will get is a high C, the way the point system's set up. Okay, so I'll make sure I understands that. Okay. So make sure you do one of the two. Either way is fine with me, okay? Just making sure that you're reviewing the information and you're up on what's happening. And this is a good way to ask questions too after we get into this and kind of collaborate back and forth. All right. Email communication. Guys, if something's going on and you need extra time, please email, communicate with me. I'm easy to work with. If you will let me know in advance, I will give you extra time. Okay. I know things come up. I know you're busy. Get it. Okay. All the assignments, as far as handing in assignments, assessment reports, interview reports, those are Sunday nights at midnight. I always do that on Sunday at midnight. That way, if you had a hectic week, gives you the weekend to help catch up. If you miss a Zoom session and you have to do the 3 questions, those are due Friday by midnight. I always like to make sure you review that video, answer those questions Friday at midnight. That way I know you watched it, you know what's going on before you get into finishing up an assignment that's due Sunday at midnight, okay? All right. Emails. I'm an early morning guy. I check emails early in the morning, usually between 5 a.m. and 7. Okay. Then I also check them again in the evening after 5. So if you email me after about 7:30 in the morning, no, I will see it when I check them in the early evening at 5. But I will always try to get back to you that day. Assignments, when they're due, I always try my hardest to make sure I have them all reviewed, graded, and back to you on Tuesday by noon. Okay, so always try to make sure I have a quick turnaround on that. I don't like to drag it out. That way, if you know you need to make an adjustment, correction, or change something up moving forward, you know what it is. There's no secret on it, okay? All right. Any questions before we kind of end? I know that was a lot. It's just kind of the first meeting. It's just a broad overview of the course. Next week and moving forward, we'll get into specific discussions and information designated for those weeks. Okay. Leaving here tonight, guys, please, please, I encourage you to go in and sign up for a group and go ahead and take those interview questions that I went over with you. Find your go-to person that you want to interview and start that. Okay. And then see who's in your group. So you can kind of maybe go ahead and communicate with them. Next week when we meet, I will talk a little bit more in detail about the report, clarify information, make sure you're headed in the right direction. Okay.
Okay, and where is the chat we're supposed to sign up?
The chat box is open. If you go down to the bottom along through there, you should see chat. And all you gotta do is go in to the far right of your screen to where you can type in your message. You just put in your name.
Show chat previews, is that it?
Yeah. Can you go down where you can contribute to the conversation?
Oh, I don't see it. Just a minute.
Put your cursor down at the bottom of the screen.
Take your
Okay,
cursor, run it
It'll
along the bottom of your screen. Do you see chat?
no, I don't. I see everything but chat.
Participants and then chat.
Okay, oh, I see participants, but I don't see chat.
Okay. Go to the far right. Do you see
Okay.
it says more?
Yeah,
Click on it and see if it pops up.
well, I've got something that says show chat previews or record on this computer.
I would hit show chat previews.
Is that? out to everyone who can see my messages. Ah, found it. I
Yeah.
hate technology.
Now, once it pops up, where it says type message here in the net, all you gotta do is just
It-
type it in.
Just my name?
That's all you gotta do.
Well, I can do that.
And then just hit your enter button after that, and it should pop right up.
Okay.
There you go.
Ah, like I said,
There you go. Hey, you learned
If
something
this
tonight
tell
on
me-
Zoom, right?
if the
Hey, I
job
tell you, if you
doesn't
can't
kill
ever
me-
figure out technology, get a couple teenagers. They'll help you figure it
go.
out.
Yeah, I've got grandsons, but they're all away at college, and my granddaughter is way too busy.
And
She's
if
a
we're on
senior.
here and you're having trouble, don't hesitate to ask. We'll help you through it. We'll walk you through it.
Oh, that'll be great. Okay, and then we just go to groups and
Yeah, on that
Okay.
group tab, you'll go to group 1, 2, or 3, and you'll click on it, and it'll allow you to register.
okay.
Guys, if you have questions after tonight, please email. You can shoot me an email and I will answer tonight. Later, I've got a class right after this. When I get done, I will have the recordings posted. And then I will also send you, I'll do it in the announcement section. And I click on the box where it will email you as well and let you know that it's been posted. Okay, so
Okay.
always do it on the same night.
I
Hey,
also
guys.
have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Where do you want us to go to introduce ourselves? Do you want us to go to messages and do that?
So on the left-hand side, you'll see of your Blackboard course shell, you should see discussion board.
Yeah, and it says that you have to
introductions.
start it.
Huh?
Hold on, it closed out. I'm get back up there.
Yeah, it was blank for me too.
Yeah, it's blank. There's nowhere to it said the professor has to start the discussion.
I will go in there and get that for you. I thought I already had it loaded and ready to go. So I will make sure tonight I'll have that in there for you.
Okay,
Right, get
perfect.
ready
Thank
for
you.
class. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Can I
Yeah.
ask?
I hope I find it.
Excuse me?
Can I ask a silly question? And I'm sorry, I was a little bit late. What is due this week? Like we just started school last week. I've got 32 kids on my caseload. I'm like up to here.
It's your introduction.
Okay, perfect.
That's
Okay.
literally all that's due. Okay, make
Okay.
sure to respond to colleagues and go ahead and find you a person that you think you want to interview and
Already
maybe
got
go
'em.
ahead and start that process. Okay, so the introduction is the only thing due this week. Pretty easy.
And then find the group, right? Like
Yeah,
sign up for your group.
That's
Okay.
right. Find your group, and I'll make sure to get that introduction thread started for you. It'll be after my next class, but I'll get it on there for you. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome.
You guys,
Thank you,
look forward to working
guys.
with you. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Helping an
I have a
old lady.
question.
Go ahead, Kim.
I'm a virtual special ed teacher. So if I pick a student, he'll be online.
Fine.
Is that okay?
That's fine. You can do it by Zoom. So back during when schools were still quarantining and we were doing this class, we had to make modifications and I had them doing some of the formal assessments and things like that by Zoom.
Okay.
Yep,
All
for
right.
sure.
I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
guys. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.